Hello everyone and welcome to Nerdy Boys Reviews. We're your hosts. I'm Nerdy Boy Christian.
I'm Nerdy Boy Scott.
And this is Nerdy Boys Reviews, your nerd podcast where we talk about the latest and greatest in nerdy news and trending nerd topics. So, explicit content warning material on this podcast may not be suitable for all listeners of all ages, and a spoiler warning, we'll be talking about some spoilery shit. So go check that stuff out. Anyway, how's it going, Scott?
What's that?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. Going swell,
Yeah?
you know. Just got off work myself. Doing the podcast now.
How was work?
It's a good night. Oh, it was good, you know. Pretty standard stuff.
Yeah? That's good.
So,
You know, we haven't podcasted for a while, and, you know, there's been a whole bunch of stuff going on with us. You know, you're having a baby and other things, and then, you know, I'm moving soon and stuff. So, you know, why don't you tell people what's been going on with you, Scott? What have you been doing?
well, I've just been working a lot, really. Getting prepared for the baby, you know, trying to save some money and whatnot. I might potentially, I went for an interview, like one of 3 interviews for this new job, you know, hoping that works out. Really about it, that gaming, you know, chilling with my girl.
Yeah.
Nothing too major. What about you, Christian?
Well, I got a new job at work, so but because it's part of the same company and it's kind of just like more of a promotion, I've been doing both jobs at once until they fill my old position, so it's been a lot of work. And then our lease is up at the end of this month, so we're moving soon.
Very nice.
That'll be something else, another new adventure. But yeah, other than that, you know, been going.
Have you been looking, you know?
Yeah, we already got approved for a place. So.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yes, we're moving to West Sacramento. So yeah, and if you don't mind disclosing such things, is it like a house? Is it an apartment? It's an apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment instead of a 1-bedroom apartment. So, you know, I have one room where we can put like my podcasting stuff and like music stuff, and like my girlfriend can have like a workstation for when she works at home, and then, you know, we'll have our other regular bedroom where, you know, we sleep and do other adult activities like watch Star Wars and other movies. But
for all you sickos out there, clean your minds.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and they allow animals, and my girlfriend wants a dog really bad, so we'll get a little dog. And it doesn't have a pet deposit, so we don't have to pay an absurd amount of money just to have an animal.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it'll be good. You know, we're just still trying to figure out the details, like when we're allowed to move or like how long we have to stay, because we gave our 30-day notice, but we're trying to see if they'll let us just go when our lease is up, because it goes automatic month to month anyway, so why can't we just leave? But, you know, we have to figure all that out.
Right.
But yeah, nothing really happening aside from that. I mean, going to some concerts lately, but that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just been, like I said, working, gaming, chilling, getting ready for the baby. Only 2 months out now.
Yeah.
Fucking hell excited. So that's gonna be for sure life-changing experience. It already has been a life-changing experience.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, like how
I'm
fast,
just excited.
like how fast this year's gone and everything.
Right, dude. It's been like fucking zooming by, dude. I have like a lot more time to like save up money, dude, and just like the time just keeps slipping by, dude.
Right.
It's not easy to save money, that's for sure.
No, especially, you know, when you have a baby coming and you have expenses and doctor's appointments and stuff. So,
Right.
but
Yeah. Fun stuff. And FYI, I now know what they meant by if you can't afford a baby, don't have one.
yeah,
Because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, they exploit the hell out of baby products.
I
They
believe
like,
it.
dude, it's so ridiculous how expensive our baby stuff is.
Right.
It's like it's absurd.
Yeah, it doesn't
You
make
know?
much sense, but people want to have babies and will spend money on them. So,
Yeah. If you guys are hearing a bunch of background noise, apologize about that. I am walking home, so there's like cars passing me and whatnot. So
I don't hear
bear
anything.
with us.
I think you sound
Really?
good. So yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Right there.
Yeah, so anyway, today, aside from catching up with us, we have to talk about some news, some of the latest stuff, some drama stuff, and then we have to talk about something important that has entered our lives. And yeah, so if you guys don't know, Disney Plus is like a thing now, and if you don't have it, you should have it because it has so much content, which is great.
Dude, it's so worth, dude. It's so worth. And like, let me tell you, they already have content stockpiled to be available as soon as like those titles contracts are up.
Yeah.
For instance, let me give you guys an explanation in case you guys are confused of what I'm talking about. So I searched up Mighty Ducks, like the 90s movie series. There's like 3 of them. It was great, and I searched those up, and they showed up on the platform, but when you try to go play it, it says, I'm sorry, this title is currently unavailable until like January of 2021, and it says due to existing contract or something
Right.
of that nature. So basically what that means, you have a contract for that title for another either streaming service or other company that they're currently using, and in 2021, that contract is over, and it'll revert back to Disney Plus. They have a load of content like that stockpiled already, and a load of content already ready for us.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So publish service announcements. Anybody that cannot afford to have Disney Plus, if you're a Verizon Wireless customer, and by the way, we're not getting paid to advertise any of this shit. We just love nerd shit and believe it should be accessible to everyone.
True.
So, with that being said, if you're a Verizon customer, either for your phone service or your home internet, you can go to your My Verizon app. There should be some sort of an ad for Disney Plus that pops up, and then you opt into that contract. Basically, Verizon will pay for your first year of subscription for Disney Plus, and then after that, you're liable to pay the monthly fee is. I think it's like $7.99.
I think it's $7 total. It's $6.99 a month, or $70 a year.
But let me say, that's a killer deal. Not a lot. I mean, Verizon has millions and millions of customers. So hopefully somebody that's listening to this podcast that thought, hey, this sucks, I can't afford Disney Plus, don't have the money for it, but I am a Verizon customer. Damn, now you can now afford it, and you're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the 7-day free trial as well. Yeah. But, either way, for what everything that's currently on there, including like some new original content, with like the new High School Musical TV series, if you're into that, or the live-action Lady and the Tramp movie that they put on there, or some Star Wars content like The Mandalorian. There's a lot to be consumed. If you haven't watched the animated like superhero shows from the 90s in a long time, or before that, they have all the Spider-Man animated shows. They have X-Men from the 90s. They have Fantastic Four from the 90s. Like, they have everything. So very exciting. And even like Star Wars Rebels is on there, so I've been catching up on that because I haven't been able to watch it for a while, so it's very cool.
Yeah, dude, there's so much content. will say I was a little taken back by Disney Plus's selection and Marvel. Maybe I actually have to like search up the certain titles, but I think they have like something like total of like if you go to the Marvel section of Disney Plus,
yeah,
it only shows like 10 or 15 titles. I'm just like,
right. I know they
should all be on there.
I know they don't have the Spider-Man movies because I think of their deal with Sony, and then they don't have the Incredible Hulk because Columbia Pictures distributes that. And then there's probably a couple other ones that maybe they have deals with Netflix or something currently or something.
Yeah, I think like the newest Avenger movies, they don't have Thor Ragnarok. They don't. I don't think they. I don't remember, but I don't think they have Doctor Strange. I could be wrong about that one. What else did I see? I think it was like Iron Man 1 maybe they didn't have.
Well, I know for sure they have Iron Man 3.
America, they have Iron Man 3, which is super annoying. But I don't think they have 1 or 2. They don't have Captain America 1. They don't have... I think they have the first 2 Avengers. I know they have Civil War. No, I don't think they do have the first Avengers. I think they have the second one, and then Civil War, and then they have Thor 1 and 2. And what else? What else are we missing?
So I have it in front of me. They do have the first Avengers. They have the first Thor, the first Captain America, Doctor Strange. So maybe we just missed some of them, but they are on here. Iron Man 2, Iron Man 1.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm just blind idiot. I just didn't see anything.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is the full list, but in front of me I see Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Ant-Man, Iron Man 2, the First Avenger, Captain America, the First Avenger, Doctor Strange, Thor, Guardians 1, Avengers, Age of Ultron, Civil War, Thor 2, Avengers, the first movie, Guardians Volume 2, Iron Man 3, Captain Marvel, and Endgame.
Okay. I feel like that was very different from what I seen on mine, but I could be wrong. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, and when I click on them, they all show a play button and not a trailer button or whatever, so.
Yeah. Anywho, the point is, Disney Plus, super worth.
Yeah.
Super duper worth.
Agreed.
My question is there ever going to be some sort of service or something, some sort of agreement that you just pay 1 subscription fee and you get everything to Disney Plus?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I see something about like there's like a package on something. I don't know what it's through. I know I've seen it. It's Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus.
Yes, that's a package that exists because Disney owns a part or a majority of all of those companies. So, I think it is through Disney. I don't know where you can find that package, but I think it's the regular version of Hulu, not like the no ads version of Hulu. But I don't know. I think ESPN Plus is worth it for soccer fans because you can watch like a lot of things on there that like if Manchester United's playing in like the Carabao Cup, that's the only place you can watch it. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it definitely could be worth it. But yeah. So are we going to talk about the Mandalorian now, or is there some other news that you need to talk about?
Oh, we have more news. So I just wanted to point out this article I found. You knew that there's a new Charlie's Angels coming out, right?
Oh, I know the article you're talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the movie already came out, but preemptively, the director of the movie, Elizabeth Banks, said that if this movie doesn't make money, it reinforces a stereotype in Hollywood that men don't go see women do action movies. She did clarify that, people will go see a comic book movie with Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel because that's a male genre. So even though those are movies about women, they put them in the context of feeding the larger comic book world. So it's all about, yes, you're watching a Wonder Woman movie, but we're setting up 3 other characters or setting up Justice League. And then she says, by the way, I'm happy for those characters' box office success, whatever, blah, blah, blah. She says, we need more women's voices supported with money because that's the power. The power is the money. Before I move on, I just want to say, I don't believe there's a stereotype in Hollywood that men don't go see women do action movies. I don't get that. Like, the movie not making money has nothing to do with men. If you wanna talk about an action movie in the sense of how successful it is, and then you say, well, men don't go see it, so it won't be successful. The majority of people in the United States are women, so women are also not going to see your movie. So I don't really understand the point of this article. Do you have any thoughts on this, friend?
I mean, I think she's delusional. And, I used to like her, she acts too, right?
Yeah, she was Rita Repulsa in the Power Rangers movie. She was in Dodgeball as one of the commentators. I think it was Dodgeball. No, she was a commentator in something. I don't remember what. Like, it was like
before this.
She was a commentator in Pitch Perfect, like during like the playoffs or whatever. But yeah.
I used to like her as an actor. Just like I could care less. Because she's trying to shame everybody to go in and liking her movie.
Right. Like,
how do you explain the first Charlie's Angels? How do you explain Angelina Jolie? Like, how the hell do you explain, like, so many movies? What she did is literally a step back for her argument. That's exactly what she did. By making idiotic statements like that people buy into and stuff, you're doing more harm for your own cause than you even realize.
Right, and it doesn't. None of it makes sense. Like, from an objective standpoint, like I get it. Like, she's saying.
You think about it. You say basically. So basically, she's discrediting any and all female-led action movies that has ever done well. She's literally, essentially, discredited so many successful women's work. And yet she thinks she's trying to help her cause by making outlandish statements that has no factual backing to. Yeah, congratulations.
Right. And is she going to discredit people because their films are part of franchises? I mean, the director of the Bumblebee movie was a woman, and that movie did well in theaters. It had box office success. Black Widow will do well, and that's a woman director. Like, I don't really understand. Like, is she saying people won't go see women?
Captain Marvel did well.
Right, but
Wonder Woman did well.
But because those are woman-led movies in a male light, or so, I don't know what she's trying to say, honestly. Because
I'm pretty sure I don't know, dude. This is like aggravating to me, dude.
Yeah, she goes on.
When people come out with that type of thing, I just have no time for those sort of people. They're just ignorant as hell.
Right. She goes on because
judge the movie based on the merit of the cohesiveness of a storyline to see if it actually stands up on its own. Instead of preemptively saying, you know what she essentially just did right there? She showed that she doesn't even believe that her own movie is good by saying something like that. If you really felt the need to say something like that, that means you already in your mind don't believe in it.
Right. I mean,
you're already having the thought, this is not going to be successful, so let me go out, make this crazy statement that's not even true, and let's just set back women's work even more. Congratulations.
Right. I mean, and there's the argument, that's always leveled at remakes about how there's so many remakes and people aren't interested. So obviously she had to comment on that, and she said, you've had 37 Spider-Man movies and you're not complaining, which, we'll pause there. A lot of people are complaining about the number of Spider-Man movies. Like, she's just saying things with no provable it's an unprovable claim. Like, it's provably false because we know that there are many people that bitched and complained when they said we're going to redo Spider-Man again, right? So anyway, then she says, I think women are allowed to have 1 or 2 action franchises every 17 years. I feel totally fine with that. Like, you don't have to be so snarky about it in the first place, but to continue on with it, nobody gave a shit about the first Charlie's Angels. Why do we want a remake of it? Like, it's if you wanted to make a good women-led movie, you could have.
Like the first time, and nobody even wanted Charlie's Angels 2, and then fucking they just like remake it for no fucking reason. It's just like, dude, it's so funny, dude, because like, you know, something like that, it's just, and then you just the worst cat. Oh man, I don't really care for that one chick that played in Twilight. I Kristen
Stewart. Kristen Bell. Kristen Stewart.
Ha ha ha! I don't know who Kristen Bell is, but that means in mine. Kristen Stewart. I think she's a terrible actor. I'll be honest. I don't know about the other two people because I've never seen them in anything, but I think Kristen Stewart is an awful actor. I'm sorry. She's like stoic. Her line delivery is lifeless. Like, I could go on and on about that shit, dude. I think it's so terrible. Dude.
Well, I think
and like, what?
I think it also like I think she's mischaracterizing why movies succeed and fail as well. Like, to put it all down to because men don't care about women doing action movies as the reason your movie fails, instead of considering literally anything else, like, you know, the cast, the direction, the writing, the fact that it's a reboot of a movie nobody cares about, any of those other things that might have some kind of impact. And I think it's a kind of a representation of our society as well. People see the results of things and then draw lines and say, it's caused by this, it's caused by this. No, we have no proof of causation. All we can say is, yeah, maybe it's related to that or that's a factor in it. But everybody's so quick to blame one thing for something that's more complex and complicated than that.
Right, exactly. And I just feel like she just did a huge disservice to women everywhere, to be honest. And I know this will probably ruffle a few feathers, you know what I mean? But I don't really care. To be honest, like, I just think her statement, like, you just have to think, what are you trying to accomplish with this statement? Are you trying to fight for women equality? Is that what you're trying to do? Because if that was your objective, you just failed miserably. And my point from earlier still stands, that instead of taking a step in the right direction, you just took 10 steps back for everyone by making stupid, outlandish statements like that.
Right.
And it's just like, it's so absurd to me that, like, nobody on her PR team said, hey, that's probably not a good idea to say that. Maybe, you know, Twitter and all that stuff and Instagram, maybe it was just, she posted it and it goes up, you know?
Right.
But, I mean, I know a lot of people have PR teams and people who post for them. So for that to escape past the PR team is kind of terrible, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible her PR team is just terrible too, but at the same time, it's like she doesn't accomplish anything by making this statement. She, like, as you said, like, she kind of hurts whatever cause she thinks she's helping, because literally, like, instead of blaming her work, the cast and crew's work, the studio's work, the script, anything else, anything that has to do directly with the movie, she's like, well, the movie I predict is not going to do well, so let's just start blaming the audience. Like, you're just going to push them away more.
Exactly. The people that you're making the movie for. Amazing. Right. That's what I'm saying. Whatever her goal was, she's in a lose-lose situation with that type of thing. If it's for women equality, you're lost. I would be saying that.
Right.
If it was for women's success, it's a special loss, because you just proved you don't even believe in what you did. You just probably destroyed a lot of relationships between actors and, you know, directors and, you know, other people who were signed on to that movie. And they're probably thinking, what the fuck did she just say? But what's she saying? Like, our movie's not good enough to do it? Like, what the fuck did I just put my heart and soul into for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. This statement, it really... I've been sitting on that statement for a while, and I've never said anything, like, on any social media and stuff, so I had a lot of thoughts about it.
Yeah.
And just, like, really annoyed the fuck out of me when I saw it, dude. I was just like, What?
Right.
What?
No, definitely understand. Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I wanted to start with that and just kind of get it out of the way because it's just when I read it, I was like, this is just so absurd to me. But anyway, we'll move.
What a great way to kick off the news segment, by the way. Controversial topic. Let's do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll move on to some DC news. Black Adam, the movie starring Dwayne the Rock Johnson, has been announced. It's slated for December 22nd, 2021. Do you still care about this movie? Did you ever care about this movie?
No, not particularly. I don't really. I don't. I mean, outside of the Shazam character, the only reason that this person, this character is being a standalone movie as a villain is because he's being played by The Rock.
I agree.
Literally one of the biggest names in Hollywood, right? Like, he's like the biggest thing out there at the moment, I'm pretty sure.
Does
like
it?
him, Kevin Hart, a few other people, like, and it's kind of crazy to me. I'm just like, why is he getting his own movie? Literally, is it because The Rock's ego is that big? I'm not sure.
Right.
I don't know if his story is really compelling enough. How many times have we kind of seen the same arc, especially in like the Mummy movies? It's damn near the same, pretty much, like we're at the Pharaoh, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like, come back with a vengeance, I'll kill everyone, something's happened. Yeah, we've heard this story plot a lot.
Right.
I don't know if I'm really excited for that.
What about if I told you that the Justice Society of America is going to be in Black Adam?
That is a lot more exciting.
This
that
came
is
out.
A lot more exciting.
Yeah,
I think it should be the other way around. I think it should be a Justice Society of America movie with the villain as the Black Adam. I don't think that the Black Adam has. Yes, his storyline is interesting.
Right.
But just because it's being played with by The Rock doesn't mean that he becomes the future title, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, when did this start happening? When did it start happening? It's never been that way in comic books. It's always been the hero is the future title, the villains are in the story. Now we're in a weird time of comic movies, where I think maybe they're just trying to do something different, and maybe they feel that people might be getting tired of the superhero genre, so they're trying to mix it up and throw names like big name villains out there and make them the star of the show, give it their point of view. I don't know if that's really their objective. That's my only thought, to be honest. But I just don't think Black Adam is really big enough to have his own title. Like, literally, the only reason I believe that they're actually giving him his own title is because he's being played by The Rock.
Right. And unless, I don't know, it's difficult when you have a villain as your, like, protagonist, I guess. Like, it's really difficult to make them work as a protagonist and make people give a shit, Like, and
it
what...
would be interesting to see The Rock in this role, by the way, considering in every single movie he's always played a hero character.
Right.
Always. He's never played a villainous character. He's always been the over-the-top strong man of a hero.
Yeah.
Of some sort. And I just think, does he have it in his acting repertoire to be able to pull off a villain?
Well, I ultimately think what they'll end up doing is making him more of an anti-hero kind of character anyway. Like, I don't think they're going to keep him as a villain because that would be too easy. So, and right. I still have no faith in Warner Brothers.
Right, yeah. I mean, I have no faith, but, like, it's like I'm familiar with The Rock's work. And a lot of times he has these witty one-liners with, like, the quick smile and look at how buff I am kind of thing.
Right.
To me, I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, how does that apply and show that he's qualified to be the Black Adam? Like, because they have somewhat similar, like...
Yeah, characteristics.
Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the way that they announced, like, JSA was, like, because The Rock and Kevin Hart were doing an interview together, and Kevin Hart was asking if he could be like Black Adam's sidekick, and The Rock was like, well, Black Adam doesn't have a sidekick, but we're gonna have the Justice Society of America, and I'm pretty sure they have a pet, so maybe you could be that.
Dude, if Kevin Hart gets in there, I'll lose my shit.
Yeah.
My fucking mind.
So, moving on, we often discuss Hollywood's fascination with milking things until they destroy them. And this week has been a rumor mill of Joker sequel nonsense, with one outlet saying it's confirmed. Todd Phillips has met with Warner Brothers and they've discussed it, and now it's going to happen. And another outlet saying that never happened, it's not going to happen, until Todd Phillips eventually came out and said, I've talked to DC and Warner Brothers, but we haven't decided anything, and I don't know if we should do a second movie, but I know what a second movie would need if we were going to do it. And I think that they should not make a second movie of the Joker just because the first one was so successful and milk it till it's dead, because I think that's what they'll do, is they'll destroy the Joker.
Yeah, pretty much.
I
don't know, dude. Like, I like the Joker movie was like, to me, in my opinion, a very compelling, very good movie. I just don't know if it warrants a second one. Like, where they go from there, kind of thing.
I think it's one of those movies that they always intended to be a one-off, and it should stay that way. Because, you know, yes, it was successful, and a lot of people really loved this movie. And I think it's kind of like almost insulting to be like, well, you love this so much, well, wait till you see what we do next. Where it's like, this movie should stand on its own merits and stay what it is without bringing it onwards. Like I would love to see Joaquin Phoenix's Joker in the greater DC EU, even if it's a different, universe version or whatever. Like, I'd love to see him, become the character again, but not in his own solo movie, because I don't know what it accomplishes.
I was literally about to make that point myself, that I see him as a Joker now. Like, he convinced me that he can be the Joker, like, full time.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's in their plans. Like, I don't really know if a cohesive universe is even in their plans anymore. It's kind of sad, dude. It's just like, nobody really knows what's happening with Warner Brothers. Like, in the DCU, like, they claim that they're trying to build something, but then they continuously, like, actively go against the grain and, like, actively say, oh, this is a one-off, this is a one-off, this is a one-off. Is that the way of, like, introducing these characters in movies just to see what the fan reaction is? And then that way, if we react negatively, it's like, well, it was never intended to stay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if that's it, I guess I could see that, That's like the only thing I'm thinking of right now. I'm just like trying to draw conclusions and, like, come up with, like, a greater scheme of, like, what the fuck is going on over there, because nobody knows really. You know what I mean? But it's like, in my opinion, I'm just like, what is going on over there? Like, something has to be, like, in my opinion, that would be a smart thing for them to do, to be honest. Like, if that was their scheme, that's smart. Because they have had very hit and miss success so far. Certain, 2 things have landed well, the rest have been awful. So,
right. I mean,
now it's the third one, it's been good, so it's like, okay. Or no, the fourth one, sorry. Well, I still haven't even watched the damn thing, to be honest, but I heard it was a good movie, so that's success. Wonder Woman, that was a success. Aquaman, that was a success. Like, and then the Joker, so a fourth one, so now we're in a trend of, like, good, decent, like, DCU films. But then if they keep continuously to say, oh, well, this is just a one-off, this has nothing to do with the cohesive universe, it's like, what is the point then?
Right. Unfortunately, DC and Warner Brothers they make so many bad choices, it's hard to believe that they would make any good choices, Like, I
just wonder if, like, are they just, like, stuck in some contract they just desperately want out of, but, like, can't? And then is it just, like, Warner Brothers just making all the crazy bad decisions? Like, what is happening? Like, we need to know. We need answers. Like, I wish that me and you could, like, give, like an interview just, like, to a head up, like a high-headed figure like in one of those companies, so we can get like real answers and like ask them real questions.
Right. And
like annoying.
the thing is, we know that Warner Brothers can do good things. It's just I don't really understand why they decide to do such bad things. Like the whole Harley Quinn movie is terrible. Like we should be getting Wonder Woman 2 before that movie. But for some reason we haven't even got a fucking trailer for Wonder Woman 2, you know? I just don't understand what's happening.
So far, their biggest mistake so far has been not including the television series in the expansive universe. Like, I don't understand, like, why are these companies doing this? I don't quite understand.
Yeah,
that logic.
I don't really get it either. But the other big thing happening with DC and Warner Brothers right now is this huge push for the Snyder Cut of Justice League has reemerged. We have Gal Gadot, who is Wonder Woman, tweeting, release the Snyder Cut. Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg, Ben Affleck, who played Batman. They're all pushing for it. And I think that the rumor is that it's going to be on HBO Max with most of the other Warner Brothers properties. Do you care about the Snyder Cut of this movie?
No, it's going to be, it's fucking worse, dude.
Yeah.
Why do I want a worse version of something that it's already terrible?
Yeah, I think Joss Whedon gets a lot of hate for Justice League, and I think Joss Whedon deserves some of the blame, but I still think he came into this project late for Zack Snyder, who had to walk away because of a family tragedy, and then Warner Brothers pushed down their ideas on him. Like, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened.
Right, like, all Joss Whedon was in charge of was, like, a couple of rewrites, like, and it was, like, nothing really, I heard, like, it was nothing even, like, that major. So I shoulder no blame to Joss Whedon, to be honest, because I just don't.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. I'm just not buying it, It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. On the Marvel side of news, I only have one thing from Marvel, and it's that Kevin Feige has confirmed that Ms. Marvel, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk will also be appearing in the MCU on the big screen at some point, which is good news because this is what we should be doing anyway, is incorporating our Disney Plus TV show or whatever stuff with our greater MCU to make it seem like one cohesive world and not, Daredevil is here and Iron Man's here. Right?
Right, yeah. It's like technically they're in the same universe, but they never I just don't get why. You know what I mean? Like, why were they not involved with, like, Avengers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Nope. But, that is good news. So, we're going to move on now to one bit of random news and then a bunch of Star Wars news. And the random news is Amazon has already ordered Season 2 of the Lord of the Rings series, despite the fact that they haven't even finished the first season. But, whatever. Good news, right? 2 seasons.
That is good news. That means that they really believe in that project. Like, to just straight up before the pilot even aired.
Right.
It's crazy.
So,
fucking heard of.
Yeah. On to some Star Wars news.
I'm flabbergasted.
I'm
shocked.
About what?
I'm in denial. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'm just coming up with
okay. So, very exciting because Rise of Skywalker is less than a month away now, which is very exciting news for me. Are you excited for this movie? All right, we'll come back to that. Are you conflicted?
Yeah.
All right. Well, they're doing the thing they always do in the over-marketing things that really annoy you, I know for sure. But J.J. Abrams has reacted to George Lucas's Star Wars regrets. George Lucas made it clear in the past that he's not particularly a fan of the new Star Wars movies. Director J.J. Abrams has a pretty good idea as to why. During an interview with Rolling Stone, J.J. Abrams said it's probably a really complicated thing for him to decide you're going to sell this thing that you created, that was your baby, to anyone. That must be more complicated than signing a check and smiling about it, which we can all agree, right?
Yeah.
He did say George Lucas has been incredibly gracious and super generous during a meeting that they had while The Force Awakens was filming. He says, "Do I wish that The Force Awakens had been his favorite movie of all time? Yes, I only wanted to do well by him. I would just say that I have nothing but profound respect for the guy, and I'm still truly, even more so now, working on these movies in awe of what he created." And yeah, that's all he really had to say. But I think it's clear from The Force Awakens that J.J. Abrams was trying to pay homage to George Lucas's vision in the first place, which I think is one of the biggest criticisms of it, is how similar people felt it was. So, what do you think? Do you believe that J.J. Abrams is doing the best he can with what he has to work with, or do you feel like he's just making bad decisions, or what?
I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to decipher because, I mean, usually, somebody in J.J. Abrams' position, they're going to shoulder the responsibility, right?
Right.
But it's is it just only up to him, did he write the whole thing?
Yeah, I'm sure it's mostly up to him, but I'm sure he also gets a lot of input from Kathleen Kennedy and the likes at Disney with their input, especially because I think, I don't know if we talked about it, but I think we did. We talked about when Bob Iger was saying that when George Lucas had pitched his ideas to them and they decided just to not go with them at all, right? So, that's understandable why George Lucas would be disappointed. Even if he liked the movies, he might not like the direction they chose. So,
right.
But yeah, I think a large part of the blame will fall on, I think, Kathleen Kennedy more so. And J.J. Abrams, his work as a director and writer has been good, but he can only do so much. And when you have a property as big as Star Wars, you're not going to please most people. So,
right.
But in other news with Star Wars, right? David Benioff and D.B. Wise were meant to do a trilogy. They're the Game of Thrones showrunners, and apparently they have had to depart the project. And this was the one that was going to be Old Republic. That's what they were talking about. At least that was the rumor. So we were very excited about it, but they're not doing it anymore. They said, "We love Star Wars. When George Lucas built it, he built us too. Getting to talk about Star Wars with him and the current Star Wars team was the thrill of a lifetime, and we will always be indebted to the saga that changed everything. There are only so many hours in a day, and we felt we could not do justice to both Star Wars and our Netflix projects, so we are regretfully stepping away." And then Kathleen Kennedy said, "David Benioff and Dan Wise are incredible storytellers. We hope to include them in the journey forward when they are able to step away from their busy schedule to focus on Star Wars."
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's one of those things. It's it's a business decision, right? So it's they're already committed fully to the Netflix stuff. So it's they're obligated to finish that stuff.
Right.
Whereas at the moment they can still get out of Star Wars.
True.
So I understand it. It's just a bummer, dude. Because I think they would have been great.
I agree, but after this next bit of news, I actually think it's fine, because Kathleen Kennedy has said something that has shocked me, and I have no words for this, except I have a lot of words for it. She came out, Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, claims that the new direction after the Skywalker saga concludes will be difficult because there is, and I quote, "no source material." She says every one of these movies is a particularly hard nut to crack. There's no source material. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels. We don't have anything other than passionate storytellers who get together and talk about what the next iteration should be. We go through a really normal development process that everybody else does. What the fuck is she talking about?
We have to show. Hold on.
Okay.
What? What?
How many books are there of Star Wars?
Dude, I'm so confused. There's like fucking plus.
Like,
what do you mean? There's fucking. Oh, there's no shit, dude. There's video games, dude. There's fucking books. There's comic books. What do you mean there's no comic books?
there's literally like, I mean, hundreds of Star Wars books. Like, you could do anything. Like, and when we're rumored Old Republic that these that David Benioff and D.V. Wise are supposedly gonna make, but now they're not going to. Like, when that's rumored, we're thinking like Riven and Malik and Darth Bane and stuff. Like, there's so much there. But like, are you seriously telling us that you're gonna start from actual scratch because you don't believe there's any source material? Like, what?
Right.
I'm blown away. I'm blown away.
Dude, I'm gonna have a stroke, dude.
Like, yeah.
I'm like flabbergasted, bro. What, dude?
Like, Kathleen Kennedy reminds me of like Ali G when he was like interviewing people, and he's like, "Have you ever actually read a book? Like, we don't need them. Like, I've never read a book." Like, I'm pretty sure Kathleen Kennedy has never read a book.
I have no words. What? I'm so confused, dude.
Yeah.
How do you get... God, what?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm so confused.
There's nothing more to say about this other than like our reactions kind of speak for themselves because it's just so mind blowing. So we'll move on to some other news. And this kind of goes back to the Joker sequel stuff. Like, are we just gonna milk things because they're good? Alan Horn of Disney says that The Mandalorian could get his own movie. He said, "The Mandalorian is already proving to be a big thing, so if that series proves to be so compelling that we reverse engineer it into a theatrical release, a 2-hour film or whatever, okay." Do you think he needs a fucking movie already?
No.
Like, what? Why? Like, I understand if you want to put him in a movie, sure. Like, put him in a movie around the same time period as the TV series, that would make sense. But creating a whole movie for a character that has his own TV show doesn't make any sense.
I'm so confused. I don't even see people doing this, dude. I'm just trying to live my
life. Okay. Well, we'll conclude this news with the good news.
This is the way.
This is the way. We are going to talk about The Mandalorian. You guys all know Jon Favreau is the guy doing it, and Dave Filoni is a big part of the series as well. And Dave Filoni's been a big part of Star Wars for a long time. He worked with George Lucas on the original Clone Wars TV series and on Rebels. And the rumor is Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni may play larger roles in Star Wars' future. It doesn't specify what exactly those roles are, but it says they will have a lot of say over the future of Star Wars, which is the good news we can take away from the nonsense of Kathleen Kennedy and Alan Horn. And it's good news because The Mandalorian, after 3 episodes, has been fantastic.
Right? Dude, it's been amazing.
Like, the little baby Yoda fella is just fucking cute as shit. And, like, when he, like, okay, guys, by the way, spoilers. If you haven't watched it, we're going to spoil shit. So, from any of the 3 episodes. So, if you haven't watched it, pause it. Go watch the shit, come back, and then, as Scott would say, join us again for the fun. But the one thing I don't like necessarily is like how there's only like 1 episode a week, kind of. Like, I want the whole series, right? Because we're greedy people. We can't wait anymore in these days.
You're greedy. Shut up. Be thankful.
Yeah. But no. I think, okay, tell me if you agree or disagree. Aesthetically, the show looks, it looks like kind of, like the space western kind of thing like Firefly was, right? And, but it also feels intrinsically Star Wars. Like, it just feels like Star Wars in a way that, things like maybe Solo didn't feel like Star Wars as much, even though it is about Han Solo, and maybe even like the sequel trilogy maybe doesn't feel as much like Star Wars to people, but this feels so much like Star Wars, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like anything from the aliens that they've introduced, they've gone to some practical effects, the spaceships, the planets, like even the story feels like it feels like I'm reading a Star Wars novel almost, but like it's on screen. So it's really cool.
Right.
I don't know, and then all the lore surrounding the Mandalorians and their culture and their people is so interesting. And anybody who's read anything about it in the extended universe will recognize some of this stuff with the Beskar armor and kind of their clan, things. It's really cool to see on screen. And in the third episode, the most recent one, we see the whole clan, and kind of how they interact with each other, and what, this is the way,
This is the way.
So other than all that stuff,
one of the things I think is so cool about this, right, is it does so much justice to all their devout fans that show up at every single Comic-Con you've ever been to and dress up as a Mandalorian.
Right.
It does so much for them, and I think that's so great, dude. And, like, so many things that I feel like maybe, like, new aesthetics that they can use. It's going to bring in this cool, like flow of, like new cosplay, right? Like, and I just think that's so great. I don't know. I think it does a lot for, like, the cosplay community, and I just think that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think in general, like, there's just so much there. Like, and the story is very passionate storytelling from Jon Favreau and the likes, and like, it's like this fun adventure, and it's more than just like, Boba Fett has he started all of this, but like, to be honest, in Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett was kind of just nothing. He was just there, right? But
right.
Everything we have now is based on that, and we even know because of the prequel trilogy now that Boba Fett is not even really a Mandalorian. He just wears Mandalorian armor. But we're learning about this culture, and we're seeing that he's not just a bounty hunter. He's a moral person as well by his actions in the third episode. And there's just so much. There's so much there to take about humanity, and professionalism, or whatever else you want to like call it. But there's a lot there, and it's not just random storytelling. There's substance to it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Lot to it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also not just a cute little adorable fucking 50-year-old baby eating frogs, using the Force, and getting super tuckered out and falling asleep. Like, that's a part of it, but that's not all of it, right?
Right, it's just like part of like the allure, it's part of like the magic. But then you have like the guild, and then you have like the Mandalorian guild, and you have like the story about like the armor, which I'm like fascinated about right now. And like I can't wait to like learn more. It almost seems like getting that stuff and getting me on the Force is like a rite of passage for them to give them status.
Right.
And I just find that so fascinating. Dude, I'm just like, oh my god, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, and we also have like
I mean, I totally get like what you're saying. You're like, I wish it was like more, because I thought so. Like when I went on there, I thought it was going to be the whole season. Then I realized it was only one episode, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I'll go to the next episode. And it's like comes out every Friday, so I'm like, I watch episode 2, watch episode 3, and it's like, it's so great, it's so wonderful. And tell me how badass in episode 3, like the fucking Mandalorian uprising was, dude. That shit was epic. That shit got me out of my seat, fucking cheering out loud, dude.
Dude,
I was like, fuck.
Dude, when I
fucking just like going nuts my house, dude.
So when I'm watching like the Mandalorian like getting pinned down by all these bounty hunters and shit, I paused it and I started having a conversation with myself, like, I wonder how many situations Boba Fett was in like this where he just got out of it because he had a jetpack. And I'm like, this guy really needs a fucking jetpack. And I press play, and like 2 minutes later, all these fucking Mandalorians with jetpacks coming. I'm like, see, what did I fucking tell you, dude? You need a fucking jetpack. And then at the end, he's like,
I need one of those.
I need to get me one of those. I'm like, that's what I'm saying. If he would have had a jetpack, they wouldn't have even had to come save his life. He would have been out of there.
And like the one that he was like beefing with, dude, had like a big ass Gatling gun, dude.
Yeah.
He fucking just threw down like. I was like,
that was actually like
insane, dude.
It's also like crazy because we had in Empire Strikes Back the infamous line of Darth Vader pointing at Boba Fett and saying no disintegrations, and then just seeing in like episode, I don't know if it happened in episode 1, but I remember specifically in episode 2 when he was blowing up Jawa. It's like they're just disintegrating into nothingness,
right?
And it's just like, oh, okay.
Now he's just like disintegrating freaking like guild members and shit. And
yeah.
Like, oh my god. I will say though, from episode 1, that droid mercenary that had like the rotating like body of full of guns.
Oh yeah,
that's actually pretty cool. Dude.
The IG.
I really like
IG
that
unit.
character. I was like, aw.
Yeah.
I was like, why do you have to die?
Well, yeah, and it's cool because I remember when I saw him in the trailer, I was thinking, oh, it might be like IG-88, who was the IG unit from Empire Strikes Back, who was one of the bounty hunters. He did nothing; he just stood there. But they're bringing like all those kind of races of those bounty hunters in the series. He fought the Trandoshans in like all like the lizard-looking dudes, right? He fought them, and one of them was fuck, I don't remember his name. But he was in Empire Strikes Back as well. He was of the same species. So it's like they're bringing back like the look of those characters, those bounty hunters, and like maybe these are races of bounty hunters or something. Like it's interesting to think about.
Dude, you know what would complete this series? Like really, just full circle this all. Okay, guess what I'm gonna say?
No. What are you gonna say?
The character that they really need to bring into this is our Lord and Savior, Darth Jar Jar Binks.
Well, I don't think it's going to be necessarily possible. I mean, maybe it is.
What do you mean?
I mean, I guess if, like, other character, I don't know. He's so old.
I'm confused, right? Because, okay, so I only remember, like, maybe I just missed the line where they said it, or missed, like, the prologue or something. Or, like, they tell us exactly the time period, because all I remember is the reference to the fall of the Empire, because they're talking about the Mandalorian's, Mando's, like, the reward that he got.
Right.
And they're like, we haven't seen these since the fall of the Empire. So, it's sometime after that. But I was talking to some coworkers, and they're like, they came up with the claim that it was said, or some indication gave them that it was 5 years after the fall of the Empire.
I think,
true? Or did I miss that?
I think it was announced that way or something, but I know it does take place a significant amount of time after the fall of the Empire, after the Battle of Endor. And I know that, we see the remnants of the Empire when it came to like that, where he got the job from, essentially, right? With the stormtroopers and everything. I don't know how long it is after the Battle of Endor. I thought it was longer than 5 years, but this is where it kind of annoys me, though, is like there's so many fan theories now about everything happening in here, and like people saying like, oh well, the Mandalorian is from the Clone Wars and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, I hate fan theories just because people.
I don't know. Well, I love fan theories. Actually, I think they're great. I think they're very healthy for the genre, in our culture. I think it's fantastic.
I just don't like taking part in it because it's like so many people. Like, to me, it's the Last Jedi syndrome. So many people had fan theories after The Force Awakens, and then they didn't get met in the Last Jedi, and then they hated it. And I'm just like, you guys kind of brought that on yourselves with your fan theories, right?
Right. Well, I mean, I think people put a little bit too much into the theory. I have plenty of theories that come true, but also don't come true, and I'm not upset that it is that way. I'm just like, oh, okay. Except for Jay Garrick. That was some bullshit.
Yeah, I know you weren't a fan of that.
Yeah. Oh, fuck this shit.
Okay, so yeah, the Mandalorian.
Although I have an appreciation for it now, But no, it's just like I don't get why people put so much emphasis into their theories. Like if I don't like this theory, then all of a sudden they don't like the end result. Like
Right.
just because it's not how you envisioned it, or because you connected imaginary dots, doesn't
Right.
mean that their end result's not viable.
Yeah. Or they connected real dots and it just their conclusion wasn't the right conclusion, you know? Like
Right. It's just like they got tricked.
right. So I have confirmed the Mandalorian takes place 5 years after the Battle of Endor. And if that's the case, then this series takes place about 35, 40 years after the Clone Wars. So that would mean the Mandalorian would have to be like 50 almost.
Right. I can't wait to find out more.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it because in the flashback from Episode 3, we saw super battle droids, which were from the Clone Wars, but they weren't explicitly only in the Clone Wars. Like they were there. I guess the Clone Wars took place over what 10, 5 years, maybe 6 years. However long was between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So, it's possible. It's possible. I give it to you.
And there's like 20 years between them. There's like, yeah, I guess roughly maybe like 5 to 15 year period after the fall of the Empire, I would say. If if the Mandalorian are 50 and D50, that would make.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many unknowns, so.
But the thing is, there's so many things unknown, but from little key clues, you can part it together. But Mando as a whole does not come across somebody that's 50. I would say he's like somebody more 25 to 35.
Right, that's what it seems like, but
his mentality is like somebody not of like age,
Right. Yeah.
He still seems so unsure about himself, or where he lies or he's unsure of like the lines of morality,
Right.
Whereas like 50-year-olds, they know that type of shit now. Like they know what side of the spectrum they're on,
Right. They're hard. Like if he was 50, he would have been hardened to the point he would either not give a shit, or he would have been like he would have learned where he stood and decided to never give up the child in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I think he is still kind of relatively. I'd say 30s maybe at the latest, but I mean, right. We don't really know, and it could. I mean, there's so many variables too. Like upbringing can be a big part of that, and he was a foster child kind of thing. We don't really know so much, but what I will say is, I had a weird expectation that they would do something in the first episode that I'd really not like. And they would the bounty would be someone we know from the Star Wars universe already, right? But I'm really happy that they didn't do that, because to me that does what Fantastic Beasts 2 did, and it just makes the world feel smaller instead of bigger, right?
Right, not more. Yeah, now this makes it bigger,
Yeah.
They did it in a roundabout way, so they bring in a race that's familiar to us. And now it's like, oh shit, what the fuck? Now it's like, now it gets you thinking, and it's like, oh fuck, is there more of them? Like, how did this happen? And all this crazy like theories are gonna start coming up now. So what the fuck?
Right. Yeah, but I think almost every decision that's been made in the creation of this show has been made with a lot of thought and a lot of, conversation, because it all kind of works really well for me, and there's nothing I've seen in this show where I've been upset or disappointed or confused. Like everything is just really cool or thought-provoking, or like it feeds into this greater story of the universe, of the Star Wars universe, and that's what's made me really enjoy it.
Yeah, it develops into larger like subsections too. It's not just one larger thing pushing in one direction. It's like Mandalorians, now it's like Yoda species, and now we're dealing with all these things, and it's like it's craziness, and it's just like, fuck, we kind of see how that plays out.
Right, and you know what else is anybody who's never watched Star Wars can watch this and get it. I think. Like, they might have some questions about the Empire. What is this? What does that mean? But overall, they'll get the story, and I think people can love this without ever have watching any Star Wars movies ever.
You know what is even more beautiful about this? They can watch every Star Wars movie ever on this platform, and
exactly.
It's so great.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that you and I talk about this all the time. If you make something that relies so much on other information, like it makes the story inherently worse because, like, people can't just watch it and get it, right? But if you make it to where they can watch it and get it, but people who have seen everything else get a better, more enhanced enjoyment out of it, then you've done something amazing. And that's what The Mandalorian does. People who have never watched Star Wars can watch it, understand it, and love it. And people who have will be like, oh, that looks like Yoda. That's the armor from Boba Fett. Those are all guys that were bounty hunters, like, and stuff like that. Like, they get so much more out of it, but that doesn't mean that other people are losing something.
Right, yeah. It just makes people who maybe haven't watched the other Star Wars movies, it now creates a new fan.
Right.
You know, it's something special.
Yeah, and it might make them so interested that they say, oh, I need to go watch these movies now.
Right, exactly.
And then they get that in reverse. Now they're watching the movies and going, oh, that looks like the guy from The Mandalorian, or that looks like the armor from the like, you know, it works symbiotically. They benefit each other without taking away from each other.
Exactly.
It's beautiful. But do you have anything else to say about this?
No, I don't, actually.
Me neither. I just can't wait for episode 4, and I hope all you guys have enjoyed this conversation, and please share your thoughts with us. Social media, Twitter at Nerdy Boys Review, Instagram Nerdy Boys Review, and Nerdy Boys Reviews on Facebook. And, that's everything we have for you. We are your hosts. I'm Nerdy Boy Christian.
And I'm Nerdy Boy Scott.
And as always, we have one message for you, and that is, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy, boy.